Top 5 Hauntingly True. When ghost stories on Reddit turn disturbingly real. In this video, we'll be investigating the spooky parts of the internet, where reality bleeds with fiction and shadows interact with unseen characters. We're opening the vaults of the creepiest real ghost stories found on Reddit, the kind that creep right under your skin and make you feel uneasy. So gather a blanket, turn down the lights, and get ready for 5 stories that will make you wonder what mysteries lie beyond the shadows. Story number 5. Something asked me to come to my friend's house. Even though I've told this story on another Reddit sub, this is the one scary event that really got to me. Lexi was my best friend when I was younger, and she lived next door. Our parents would take motorbike trips together, and until they got back, we would camp out at one of our homes. We were used to it. We had never had any strange things happen to us before that night. We were doing what we always did and talking in our bedroom. Through her window, we saw a bright light and then heard the sounds of motorbikes pulling into the gravel driveway. Right away, we thought, okay, our parents forgot something. But before we could leave the bedroom, we heard a soft woman's voice say, "Hello?" The front door was opened. The door scraping against the hardwood floor made this sound that people knew. We were scared because this woman didn't sound like our family. Our voices are very Texan, so we thought there was an invader. We found the front door wide open, and no one was in the driveway when we checked out the house. We were so scared of it. There was no one in the house. We were finally better. We went back into her room, but she fell to the floor and started crying before she could get in. I was scared and didn't know what was going on. She told me that something as tall as the doorframe was in her parents' room. When our parents got back, the supernatural continued to happen in her family's home. They also left. Story number 4. I had awesome parents who let me sleep in the living room on weekend nights when I was very young because my sister was a light sleeper, and I could stay up until dawn. But of course, I always ended up sleeping on the couch because Nick at Night made me try. So one night, I woke up to the prickly feeling, like an instinct, just bolted into a sitting position and stared out the front window. We lived in rural Georgia, so you can imagine the magnitude of trees. In perfect light cast from the moon, I saw a silhouette of someone in this f***ing tree. The family dog dashes to the window and is snarling into the glass. Terrified, I ran into my parents' room and tried to explain to my parents that there was a strange person outside. Dad grabs something defensive and darts outside with the dogs to beat the wax off the hothead. I tremble in Mama's arms until Dad comes home and says he saw no one and to go to bed. I decide to sleep in my regular bedroom. I fill in my sister as to what happened. Dad is making regular rounds in the house with a cup of coffee. We're all still, and I finally think I can sleep. Nope. I notice the man outside my window. From what I can see in the moonlight, he gives me a shush signal and runs away. Just turns around to run a straight line away. I swear I couldn't stop crying for what felt like hours. Story 3. I've been through something I can't explain. The stockroom for the very small drugstore where I used to work was in the basement. It was a long, rectangular room with tall shelves on either side that made an aisle. Along the bottom, there was a space between the shelves where you could walk through to a different room. The room we called the dungeon was pretty small and had a low ceiling and a few steps leading up to it. There was a stepladder in the far corner with a trap door that led to the shop floor behind the cash register. If you were downstairs, this was the first way to get out. From the basement, I saw a man walk through the space between the shelves and into the prison. Aside from the fact that no one knew why he was there, nothing seemed strange. He was blonde, wearing dungarees and a blue and white striped shirt, and generally looked fine. He didn't answer when I called out to see what he was doing. When I went to the basement to find him, he was already gone. I think he went up through the trap door. So I went back upstairs and asked the only other worker, a substitute pharmacist who was only there that one day, who the guy was. They had no idea what I was talking about and swore no one had come into the shop or through the trap door. Back to make sure, we looked at the cams that were set up around the shop floor and saw that no one else was there but us. Strange as hell. After a year, we have a Saturday girl. One day, she ran up from the stairs from the basement almost crying, and said the man had scared her. When I asked who she was talking about, she told me about a blonde guy in dungarees and a blue and white shirt who had walked from the basement to the dungeon, missed her calls, and then left after going into the dungeon. After that, she wouldn't go down there by herself, so I had to spend time there instead. I never saw the guy again, but I regularly found boxes stacked on top of each other and things that had been put away neatly on shelves lying around. It was really strange. As much as I don't like to shout, "Ghosts are real," I've never been able to figure out what happened there. Story 2. It must have been the late 1970s when my family hired an old house in Parkside. I can't really figure out what happened because it was so strange. Each bedroom was at the end of a long hallway. The kitchen, dining room, and bathroom were all at the other end of the house. We could all hear noises coming from the other end of the house at night. I remember that sometimes it sounded like dried dog food was being poured out on the floor, but in the morning, nothing was wrong. My mom told me that when she woke up, she would sometimes see a young girl standing at the foot of her bed and then disappear. It wasn't us kids, but what I remember most is that my brother and I used to run down the hallway on the weekends to wake our parents up. Sometimes, we were stopped by what seemed to be thicker air in the hallway. There was nothing there that we could see, but we just couldn't get through. It was both very scary and very exciting at the same time. On days when it didn't happen, we were always a little let down. Story 1. Things would call my name from the other end of the house when we first moved into the house where I grew up. I remember hearing my dad call my name from his room while I was playing with Legos or something. They always told me that they never called my name when I went to their bedroom and asked what they wanted. Because this happened to me about every 2 days when I was a kid, I really began to think they were kidding me. It did happen one night, and I went to ask them what they wanted, as I always do. But as soon as I walked into their room, I heard my mom calling out from the living room, which is on the other side of the house. I knew no one was playing a joke on me at that very moment because I could see both of my parents sitting in front of me. I didn't tell anyone about this until my brother was told he had partial narcolepsy. Hearing voices is said to be a sign of narcolepsy, so I thought I might have had it too. I got checked out, and everything was fine, which is why I have no idea what was calling my name all those years. I still hear it at night, whenever I stay over at someone else's house. And that's a wrap on today's video. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more mysteries.